Respected sir and madam, please. Respected sir and madam, please.
Sir, Anand sir. Ma, Papa. Anand sir.
Slow.
Babu, please.
Sir, please, sir.
Sir, yes, sir.
Vijay.
Sir, this side.
Thank you so much, sir. Sir, Polama next. Thank you.
Sir, please, sir, we're going to start the workshop here. Mr. Anand sir will come and join us there for a few minutes. Please. Just students inside, please. We're going to start.
Children, we are going to start. First, give a big round of applause to our world champion, Vishi Anand.
Five-time winner of the World Chess Championship, Indian chess grandmaster Viswanadhan dominated the world of chess for 6 years. From 2025, he defeated chess stalwarts Garry Kasparov and Anatoly Karpov. He occupied the #1 position for 21 months, the 6th longest on record. Anand was also the first recipient of Rajiv Gandhi Khel Ratna Award in 1991 to 92, India's highest sporting honor. Let us pray for the blessings that all you looking to give us wisdom to make this a better place. May all human beings live in harmony with nature and other forms of life. May everything prevail. May the darkness of ignorance be swept away by the dawn of self-realization. With Islam life.
Last 3 minutes, கொஞ்சம் cover பண்ணுங்க please. எல்லாருக்கும் visuals வரணும்.
And I think if a child is working hard and is looking to improve, this will help them up their game.
Any particular areas you want to work?
The first day I'm going to be doing end games and puzzles. So both are very important, and I think especially when you're young, you tend to neglect them a little bit because you want to do the tactics and the openings, but it's an important area to focus on, so I'll do that. Tomorrow we will move to openings and middle game examples, and on the last day we'll try to have a summary and a quiz about what happened.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Anybody here to ask questions?
Any other reporters? Please. So you can stand up and ask.
Hi, sir, how are you? My name is Vimal and I'm moving from the UAE next year. So can you tell me how has artificial intelligence influenced the game of chess? And basically when you started, Minecraft not being that great, but what do you prefer, playing against the machine or playing against the man?
Well, the computers had a profound impact on the game, of course, and you will see that in the lecture today. I wouldn't call it artificial intelligence because that's not what it is. But the computer has so it's revolutionary in every single aspect.
Anybody else?
Mr. Anand, will you just continue training more kids in the future?
Well, this is the first initiative, so of course I'd like to thank VELAMMAL Vidyalaya, and it's the first thing I'm doing with Golden Goose Sports. hopefully I will do more as we go along, but first now I'm very excited to do the first event now.
Yeah, so thank you so much. It will be good if you continue this.
Thank you.
Any
Questions?
Please. Sir, please. When is your next World Championship challenge?
I will be playing in September the World Cup, and that's the qualification route for the candidates. So that's my next stop on the World Championship circle.
Sure.
Any questions?
Please.
Regarding the computer thing again, I mean, computers now are such an inherent part of a kid's growing up. Do you think kids are not thinking for themselves as much as they should? Because I mean, they're always being spoon-fed. So, what's your opinion on that?
Well, that is the big danger, and I will try to emphasize again today, especially with end games, because computers play perfectly. It's very easy to just see the computer and look at the position. But I hope that when I give the positions to them to solve, they will see how difficult it is without somebody having an evaluation that you can see. It's not a question of understanding as such, because when someone tells you the right answer, it looks like the right answer. But when no one is telling you anything, can you still find the right answer? Because then you have various concepts, and I will try to show that a lot today. I believe we shouldn't just get into this habit of saying computers are good, computers are bad. They're a tool, they're an unbelievably effective tool, but you'll have to mix and match. And I will try to show that, because a lot of the games are from my own personal experience. And it is a very important area to emphasize that at the board, when you're alone and you're solving things on your own, that it's very, very difficult. And that is part of the focus of this camp. I think I will try to show how mistakes happen in over the board play. In chess, there is not much substance abuse, shall we say. I mean, I have occasionally heard stories, but it's not a big problem. First of all, because the performance boost it gives is not that significant and very hard to isolate. Anyway, for the record, for the World Championships, we do have drug testing. But in chess, it's much more relevant electronic cheating. So that requires very, very, very little assistance. So during a game, at a critical moment, the only piece of information that needs to filter to me is, this is good or this is bad. With that little piece of information alone, the help is enormous. Because looking at the same position, knowing the conclusion makes everything much easier. So in chess, electronic assessment is a big problem. We have quite a lot of measures to think. We have metal detectors, almost like an airport security before you go to a game. They screen you and they block the signals and all this. So the World Championship often happen in glass enclosures, all precisely for this reason.
And so when you playing these, a lot of the Eastern European champions, and now if you see a lot of Russians have come and scan up for such abuses. So do you feel anything of that sort?
No, that has nothing to do with chess.
Any other questions? Please take your answer.
2016 was a mixed year for you personally. What do you hope to achieve in the year coming forward? And also in terms of the global scene, Carlsen has been doing very well. I mean, who do you see dominating for the next 10-15 years? The World Championship match between Carlsen and Karyakin recently in November was really good, but who do you see dominating in the years to come? And also from a personal perspective, what do you hope to achieve in the year coming forward?
Okay, so this year I have two main objectives. I will play the Grand Chess Tour, so that is like one circuit, and the other circuit is the World Championship cycle, which I will play the World Cup in September. Both those are the most important thing, because I'll have to maintain a performance over several tournaments. So the World Championship cycle, if I qualify in the World Cup, then I have to get ready for the candidates, and the Grand Tour is 5 tournaments. But I think you cannot, when you go to play, you have to take each event seriously. So that means I will take Zurich very seriously. Now that's going to happen in April, and that's my next commitment, April 12th. I will play there and then take it forward. As for last year, yes, it was mixed. I was very happy with my performance in the tour, and the candidates was a great result, even if I missed qualification. But okay, it's a similar focus that I will look at this year, and I will try to keep improving. As for, I think, of course, Carlsen remains number one, but the gap is now closer than it has been for a long time. And generally, you can see that the youngest players are the ones making up a lot of ground. Wesley So is the person everyone is keeping their eye on at the moment.
How is the age factor in double right now?
Well, the age factor is the age factor. I mean, you age. So I would say that the sport is getting younger, but not in the last 2 or 3 years. I mean, that process has pretty much gone forward. If you look over large time scales, then let's say 3 decades ago, I looked at the world top in the 80s sometime, and then the average age of the top 10 was 36. Then I looked at it sort of 20 years later, and it had dropped to 26. And this 26 was because Topolov, Kramnik and me were somehow pushing it up, so it was even lower. But within that, not much has changed in the last 3 or 4 years. So that computer effect has happened. It will keep happening. I don't know that necessarily the top 10 will move into the teens. So anyway, it's not something I think about a lot. It's just an effect that you notice. But I mean, I get ready for a tournament, I play. My age is my age, but I will just play, and I will try to maximize whatever I can. And in fact, this cap will show the training methods I use. I will try to show how I prepare openings. I will try to show how I study area aspects of my game that are weak or strong, how I try to work on them. And hopefully the students will find that useful. Even if they work in a different way, it's still interesting, I think, to see how it's done and what someone is looking for. And perhaps from that experience, they'll be able to get something. Chess is all about maintaining concentration. The ideal state, the dream state, if you like, is always making the best move under the circumstances, making the best move for the right reasons, and thing. But during the game, all sorts of other things influence your thoughts. You might get distracted by trying to think what your opponent is aiming for. Did he make a bad move on purpose? Is there a good move hidden? All these kinds of things. So all these are factors that psychology is an important area, of course, because usually that's where it happens. But still, your focus as much as possible should be just on making the best moves and not being influenced by, for instance, what happened before. So 5 moves ago, if you were winning, that's irrelevant. You play the position as if you were starting it now. Again, I hope to show examples, and especially today, I will try to emphasize how when you're playing end games and you're facing them, the important thing is not only which is the right move, but which is the right move for you, which is the move that you find easiest to solve. So there are certain moves that come easily to you, and other moves which are very complicated because the lines are very long. So I will try to show how I choose. Even when I'm practicing, I try to practice the methods that I will then try to employ and things like that.
Any instance where you've been troubled by one?
Opponents always trouble you, but again, it comes back to the board. I mean, if the position of the board is wonderful, then it doesn't matter what your opponent is doing. Even if they're very successful in irritating you, it's not effective because if you will win the game, then you can only laugh at them. So in chess, it's very important that all the psychology is backed up by good moves. I mean, there are guys who have tried to wind me up, but then they make a bad move, and then it doesn't succeed. So the most important thing in chess, I think, is still to focus on playing well. But if you play well, then it's a good thing to amplify with psychology and trying to annoy your opponent. There are legitimate ways of doing this. You can look confident, you can play confidently, you can play fast. Those are legitimate ways of I think, a way of conveying your confidence. There are bad ways as well: slamming doors, making faces, hitting the clock hard. So we have gamesmanship, we have legitimate ways of doing things, and most importantly, I think each one has to find a way not to be affected by these things. and end games.
That is probably the right method. I mean, that with too much theory nowadays, start with end game and then go to theory.
You know, there isn't an area of the game you can really afford to neglect. So openings are important, but in openings you're just drowning in information. And so how to cope with that will be a topic I'll try to address tomorrow. But I thought I'll start it off with endgames today and puzzles. I could have easily done it in the alternate order, but and I think it's a tendency, because openings produce results, for youngsters to neglect that. So I'm trying to emphasize that that's important. Simply put, if you don't survive the opening, you won't need the endgame skill. But endgame skills are still important, because you've done all the work correctly, you've played your middle game well, and then because you've not brushed up in endgame skills, you don't collect the point, that is a failure as well. So I'm going to try and emphasize that. But it could easily be in the other order, so there's no particular reason why it had to be today.
But in short, actually, because the children should start from end games. That's right. I mean, like, that is the way it should be done.
You have to focus on all areas, that's all. You can start with end games, you can start with openings, but there are no areas that you can neglect. And what is happening with computers is that because we're going further and further, your opening preparation very often finishes in the end game. So in chess nowadays, it's very difficult to have these clear demarcations. This is the opening, this is the end game, and everything else was the middle game. Now you can swap queens very early, but it feels like a middle game because all the variations are very sharp and forced. Or you can keep queens, but it feels like an end game because you're playing on one theme or like an open file or a particular square. So these demarcations are blurring in chess.
In an interview a few months back, you had mentioned that 40 is the new 50. Could you elaborate what you meant by that? And also, Hari Krishna briefly overtook you, I think, last year as the Indian number one. Do you think he has it in him to maybe eventually take over the mantle, or?
Okay, I don't remember that because I think even when I was just after Gibraltar, I don't think I ever lost the highest rated thing. But anyway, that's kind of besides the point. He's doing very well. He will start a tournament in Hong Kong soon, and he's made enormous progress. I mean, the very fact that 2750 on its own is a very impressive rating to maintain. And he was very close to 2770, so 2760 something he was peaking. That's a phenomenal performance, and he's clearly improved, I would say, dramatically in the last 2 to 3 years. So he was like barely breaking 2700, and then suddenly there's a 50-point leap. So I think he will play in Hong Kong. Let's see how he does. It's a good opportunity for him to show. I guess he will play the World Cup as well and try to qualify for the World Championship. At any level, what you find difficult to learn, you must find new ways of learning. What you find easy to learn, you must rehearse often.
What sort of changes have you made then in the last few years regarding your training?
More or less, it was covered in my answer. The things that I find difficult to learn quickly, you focus more effort on remembering them, recalling them at the right moment, and being familiar with them. And your stronger areas, you keep on brushing up.
Adiban performance at 4S of those standards very suddenly he got out.
No, it's wonderful. Suddenly we have 4 or 5 people breathing in the top 50. I mean, Hari and me, we were already there, but Adiban, Vidit was getting very close, and Adiban as well was doing fantastic. I mean, in Vaikense, he played against the world's elite, and after this initial startup, when he started with -2, he fought back to a really good result. So I was very impressed, especially by his flexibility. I mean, once the initial phase didn't work out for him, he then decided, okay, I'm just going to mix it every round. So I'm going to play the Scandinavian one day, I'm going to play the French one day, and he did superbly. So in fact, he's on the cover of New in Chess because people noticed that his games were interesting. And this King's Gambit against Wesley, so of course it was a public favorite. So very good. He had a setback in Aeroflot afterwards, but I think it doesn't matter so much. I mean, you will have ups and downs, but if he keeps continuing in this direction, I think, and I'm very excited because the more people we have there, it's nicer. I don't think it matters at what age you learn chess because, I mean, you learn for fun, but if you start chess at 25, that's going to be tough because chess, again, is something you learn much easier when you're young.
Thank you very much, sir.
Well, I'll give you an example of my own son. I keep a chessboard in front of him. We've taught him how to make what the rules of the game are and how to set it up. And I'm going to just wait till he thinks he wants to try it and he starts enjoying it. Probably the ideal age is when they want to do it. I don't think it's something that you should impose from outside, at least as a parent.
So, I'd like to know.
My game hasn't changed because I became a father, but at the most I would say sometimes when I'm preparing he runs into the room and he wants to play with the computer, and that means I have to stop. But mostly I just find it very pleasant. Everything in chess is about beating stress, and nothing like playing with a young son to help you relax once in a while. So maybe even if he interrupts me once in a while, it's a good thing because I should take more breaks while I'm working.
What are the things you had to do to maintain your physical fitness and concentration for long?
Well, really it's the last I would say 25 years or so that I really started playing. There was this moment in 93, 94 when I was still in my 20s, and I was my results started to drop off, and then a friend of mine told me, I think you should really pay attention to your fitness because there's a reason these mistakes are coming at the end, and I think you're losing concentration. I thought, what does concentration have to do with fitness? You think of fitness more in terms of stamina, but the thing is when you get tired, you're unable to maintain the intensity of effort, that's when it drops off. So since then I've been paying attention to my fitness. Obviously I try to vary a bit. I mean, the idea is it should always be a little bit challenging. This is not a big secret, but the idea is it should always be a bit challenging for you. So I try to mix my fitness, but and then I also pay attention to stretching and relaxing. I would say right now my fitness is more focused even on getting rid of tension rather than purely about stamina, because during games you build up a lot of just the after effect of the game, and you want to relax a bit. It's also important. I've shown in the last few years that I'm able to play long games, and I'm able to endure suffering or defense for a long time. So I think it's working well in that sense. I wouldn't say my routine has changed too much. Again, I keep it interesting, but actually the same rule applies for chess. You have to keep varying your training methods always to keep it interesting, otherwise the brain gets bored. I would say all games between players of roughly equal strength are decided on psychology because it's not technical matters which win. But there is a role for a psychology to be comfortable with that. I mean, I find that I'm able to address my issues psychology with my wife and my seconds, and often I find that just being able to talk about what I'm going through in the game brings me to speed. But equally, there are others who have someone formal in that role. But it's a fundamental area of all sports, because all sports are about outwitting your opponent in the end, and so it's about maintaining your level for long enough. So you should always not be the one to make the last mistake, and the last mistake is very often because of psychology. You tire, your mind wanders. I mean, and there's usually an underlying reason why it happens, and you have to address it.
Any other questions?